Welcome everybody. This is Nasty Poe here for Therapy Games and Dark Matters videocast. This is a desire for adventures. This is a period in our life where we seek for change and look for new things. I usually think maybe this comes from us feeling sad or upset about things or just not happy with our current situation. I think a lot of times we just don't understand what is going on around us, and it kind of makes us feel bad. Maybe not bad, but maybe sad, maybe indifferent. But we want change. We want something better to happen because we're just not happy with what is going on right now. So one of the first things that we're going to look for is what is a good adventure and what is a bad adventure, and what changes are okay versus what are not okay. Good adventures and bad adventures can be kind of labeled by risks and how much risks and long-term consequences they place on us. An impulsive act right now may just be something minimal and all that stuff, but may or may not have long-term consequences. I've recently started looking into this stuff, doing recent sessions, finding out that people talked about a certain age group where they were looking for adventures and something new. And it really kind of makes it seem that there's a period in life where people are looking for an identity and they go on these adventures, all right? And I don't mean adventures like Sword and Shield, Skyrim type shit or video game type shit. I mean adventures where they literally change the internal characteristics of oneself. Personality components, beliefs, desires, just a lot of the different things that they feel. And when they make these changes, these adventures they go on, they may put themselves in situations or places they did not normally expect to put themselves into. It could be some places where they're just with people they don't want to be with, doing things they don't want to do. But it's okay because it's just an adventure. You know what I mean? So one of the first things that happens that causes this change is dissatisfaction with life or current people. In school ages, it could be not fitting in peer groups, not feeling we're different enough, feeling we're too similar. In other areas of life, it could be the same things such as family, work, or any of those pieces. Maybe we look for adventures because we have dissatisfaction with the work we do. Let's say you have a job that is just a miserable job and you look for something fun somewhere else. You do adventures, you go skydiving, you go parasailing, maybe you get your pilot's license, or you become a captain and a pirate and you sail the seven seas or some shit. And you do all that stuff, and that's an adventure too. But other adventures could be just a complete change in lifestyle. I've seen people take risks with going places, bars, clubs, drugs, foreign places and stuff, and just winging things off the top of their mind because they felt bad about who they are and what they are. Or they just didn't like how they fit in where they were with who they were with. And I think part of the conflict that comes is, when they do these high-risk adventures, we'll call them, are they just trying to fix the person back home, or are they just trying to forget about the person back home? So these adventures that we go on, they range from small little things to extravagant and time-consuming things. And it's really kind of marking what we're doing with these adventures and how they're impacting us as to whether somebody needs to help and make changes. An initial thing could be is after a breakup, a girl is likely to maybe change her hair, change her style or something, or maybe even look for some new friends because they're just not happy with the people they're around and things they were previously doing. You don't really need to do anything if a girl is going to dye her hair or get a piercing or something. It's not a big major deal. You may see even tattoos and stuff that signify like an adventurous style or a risk-taking style or just a change in the life that we're currently living. And all that stuff is okay. I mean, none of that stuff is major risk or anything like that. So, like, with those low-level risks and all that, there's very minimal intervening. But if you see consistent patterns that are going on for a prolonged period of times, start identifying what the level of risk versus reward is versus those behaviors. And is it almost as if they're trying to change who they are so they're not the same person? Or is it just that they're trying to re-identify themselves in some small ways? A second level of risk could then be somebody that engages in almost like a personality shift, where it's not just little things that they change, but they change their entire lifestyles and manners of living. Some of them could be for beneficial purposes, some of them could be for negative purposes. If you had somebody that was completely lazy and did nothing their entire life, and then felt really unsatisfied with their situation and started going to the gym every day and eating healthy and all that stuff, and going hiking and bike riding and joining 4K, 5K marathons or whatever they are, and like those like cool little obstacle course, mud course things and all that. That's an adventure, and nobody would second guess that. But if you had the same person that did something in more in a negative fashion, such as becoming like addicted to drugs, alcohol, maybe like leaving their family or changing their entire lifestyle and living and all that stuff, that is more of a negative adventure where maybe somebody has to intervene. Because there could be a big level of dissatisfaction in their life right now that's causing them to literally try to split off. And with the desire for adventures is we want to keep a set path that we're going in so we don't split too far. We want to stay somewhat maintained and confined and within boundaries and stuff, but just to better ourselves, but just to also keep ourselves kind of okay. Another adventure that people may go on is just the desire to leave. And this is probably one of the biggest adventures that we need to intervene on. People will pick up and change everything instantly at the drop of a dime just because of that desire for change and that need to not fit in. And the reason why I say we need to intervene immediately is because generally, and I don't want to say all the time because there is sometimes that we do these changes that are really, really good. Generally, when these changes occur, a lot of the same problems and issues still occur. The person will leave their family and just maybe run away, thinking that their depression and anxiety and negative thoughts and feelings will all go away with them, you know what I mean, and stay at home. But we just find different adventures to try to subsidize those feelings. And it almost becomes like a need to find a balance between the adventures that impact our lives today versus the adventures that could impact our lives tomorrow. And by choosing the right adventures and impacting your life today and making beneficial changes for tomorrow, then we're in a really good standpoint. And it's a really good opportunity for growth and desire and all that stuff. However, if we're in the scenario where we're going the opposite way and we're showing a path of self-destruction and almost chaos and all that stuff, we need to find an intervention or a way to kind of slow things down. And it's hard to put somebody in those scenarios in like a level of check where we can kind of put boundaries on those adventures and all that. But I think one of the most important things that we have to do is we have to let people that we know that we are aware of, the adventures they're taking and all that stuff. One of the things I noticed in the past week, 2 weeks actually, is the adventures that start at a younger age tend to lead to maybe more of a baseline high risk in an older age. So if we see some individuals taking younger age, high risk adventures for, something that's just, not what you would consider the norm, you know what I mean, outside that norm, but not to the point in the extremes where we're talking about like death or harm or something like that, but just like a little bit more extreme than that. We have to take in consideration when they become older that their boundaries are now a little more expanded than the average person. The average person's boundaries may be a little more confined and all that based off being sheltered by families and all that, and their adventures may range from experimental use and all that stuff like alcohol and drugs to somebody who had, more of a bigger bubble growing up and more freedom growing up to where their use started at a younger age and expanded to higher end content at that same age. So if an average person's experimenting, just say with marijuana at an age of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, which to be honest with you, I don't recommend till like later in life. But if they experiment at that age, they were exposed to something at an earlier age, like, marijuana at 12 instead of 15. I'm not saying that marijuana is a gateway drug, but that bubble is now increased to the effects that they were exposed to more at a younger age, and then at an older age that they will have maybe a little more impact on things, like perfect scenario is this. If you've never shot a gun and you're in a scenario where you need to shoot a gun, it is much more difficult than somebody who's shot a gun at a shooting range. It doesn't even have to be at a person or at a living creature. to set a shooting range. And the mere fact of having that experience in the past of something and having control and some level of command over it and seeking that satisfaction of the adventure could lead to the ability to do the next step forward the next time that adventure approaches. So one of the things I want to talk to everybody about is a good way to handle this stuff is discuss what your adventures are with people so that they understand what you're going through. You know, we all like to have a good time. We all like to do some crazy stuff, okay? Everybody does. And if you didn't, you should be talking to somebody because life needs to be a balance of good and bad. You know what I mean? If you have too much bad, then you're sad. If you have too much good, you're kind of like not really that happy because there's no friction. You know, you need a good balance of like a little bit of pull and pull, give and pull. I'm sorry. So talk to people about what that is, and you know, discuss things in advance, and try to put stuff into perspective that you give it time, so it's not an impulsive decision. You know, if you want to go on an adventure. And you're planning it, and you're looking into it, and you're doing research on it, and you're taking proper steps to get there. It's a lot different than somebody that just pops up one day and says, you know what, I'm going to go do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the person that pre-plans it, A, has a better time and a better experience with it because they make it more set to themselves. But the impulsive person may regret it because in 48 hours from a decision made, a lot can change. And I usually ask people to wait a clean 48 hours before doing anything impulsive because, well, impulsive would be the opposite of waiting, but try to wait because so much stuff that may change goes back to what it was within 48 hours. And I feel like too many people are getting in the habit of just rushing those 48 hours rather than just enjoying it and living the life that they're supposed to live and seeing how cards unfold over 48 hours. So again, when we're looking for those adventures and we're in an impulsive period, you know, maybe having a couple of things set aside that you wanted to do as an adventure and we stash them for a rainy day would be a perfect thing. Perfect example would be is if you have maybe, I don't know, maybe you enjoy doing escape rooms and stuff like that, and you have that stashed aside so when you have a crappy day, you just, bam, hit off an escape room or something like that, or a murder mystery dinner or something like that. So it's an impulsive adventure that was pre-planned somewhat so that you have some recognition of it, and it helps control what we do because we're still getting the satisfaction out of what we want to do, and we're still going on to the adventure we want to go on to, and we're still using it to cope for a negative situation. You know what I mean? So, all right, everybody, this is just the first one. I'm trying this one out. You guys that know me know I like to try a lot of different things out, so I'm still trying to work on setting up stuff for the Elgato Screaming card, so hopefully I'll get some, like, I don't know, Nintendo gameplay or something in the future. Everybody, my things are on the bottom if you want to follow. If not, it's cool with me. Have a great day, and everybody, be mindful of something today. Just something normal that you normally see, but you don't pay attention to. Try to be mindful of that, because that could be the difference between sadness and happiness sometimes. All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye.